Yo, 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 what is up, y'all? It is another episode of the Slightly Unqualified podcast. However, this time it's a special one. I got my acquaintance,
Ooh, that
my
was fun.
acquaintance Andrew with me here today. And I also have, of course, Steven, Khan. What's going on, y'all? How you doing? Khan, go ahead and go first. What's going on? What's new with you?
I'm good, man. Just got back from jujitsu with my boys. It's going pretty good. Last time I talked about it was maybe like a week or two ago. They're loving it. Money well spent. So yeah, having a good one. What about you guys?
I came home to a broken garage door, so that was fun.
Oh,
Ooh,
wow.
It was like the top
yeah.
part was like.
Dude, garage doors suck, dude.
So yeah, I gotta figure that out.
You
Good
know
luck with that one, man.
what happened, or you just came home and it was broken, and no one has
I
fessed up?
No one has fessed up. I went to open the garage and it like opened a foot, and then I called my wife and she said, "Yeah, it looks bad." So then I walked around. It had fully detached.
Dang,
So
that sucks.
part of it
dude.
was there, and the other part was like,
All messed up.
yeah, it was.
It'd have been funny if it was
bad.
all.
Yeah, let's go back and
It
forth.
probably
That'd have been
was
hilarious.
at one point.
Yeah, right. Dang, that's an
Well,
interesting.
gentlemen, I think we have a good slate today.
Yeah,
There's kind of a lot of topics I think that I have prepared at least. If we don't get to all of them, it doesn't matter. But there is quite a bit that we can go over. Let's start with the most important thing that we can pick up from last week, which is not James Gunn in the DCU,
Oh,
but
here we
the
go.
Philadelphia Eagles going to the Super Bowl. I called it. I've called it since week 0 of the season. Here we are. We play the Chiefs, aka the Kelsey Bowl, aka Birds Free Dub in Arizona. I might go to the game. I'm here. I might go. Who knows? Thoughts, gentlemen?
You should go.
You should definitely go. I hope you get there and like a mile out when you're in that long line, you get a flat tire, and then you have to make the contemplation of like, do I stay with my car or do I go watch the game? You know what I mean? I hope that happens.
Oh, it's no contest. I'm going to the game.
Yeah,
That's
for sure. You go to the game if you already spent $10,000. Yeah, you go to the game.
Yeah, I've entered about every single sweepstakes I could think of in Arizona. I'm
Just
listening
done
to the radio every day right now to see if I can get free tickets.
Man,
Both my sisters, they're both veterans. God bless the veterans. They put in for
True.
vet ticks, which is like a ticket system they can get, so that if they win, they get 2 tickets. I'm the second one with them. Uh, Worst comes to worst, I'm waiting for it to go down if it does at all. So far, it's gone up because Eagles fans are crazy, Chiefs fans are crazy.
Mhm.
But regardless, should be a good game. Despite Mahomes' ankle, he looked like he was as healthy as ever. The Eagles are fine right now, only 14 points allowed in the playoffs. It's shaping out to be pretty good, and the storylines are amazing. You got Andy Reid coming back playing against the Eagles, former coach. You got Nick Sirianni, former coach of the Chiefs, not like the head coach, but former coach of the Chiefs, playing against the Kansas City Chiefs. Got the Kelsey brothers, the first brothers to ever play each other in the Super Bowl. That's pretty special.
Yeah, that was
Uh,
cool.
you got the 2 MVP finalists, which is Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. Also, the
Tom Brady's
first
not in that. Tom Brady's on. No.
no, good quarterbacks, the ones that actually like play well. So besides them being the MVP finalist, they are also this is also the first, which I don't know if anybody know if you guys know this. It's been touted already, but this is the first Super Bowl with 2 black quarterbacks that are leading the
Yeah, that's pretty
charge.
cool.
So a
That's
pretty
pretty
I
dope.
special
didn't know
moment
that.
for the NFL.
Yeah, man.
Um,
Cool.
it's also the 2 number 1 seeds, the one seed in the AFC and the NFC. Everything about this has just a lot of storylines going on. I'm excited for it. The Birds
For
are back
sure.
in the bowl where they belong. Only a 5-year turnaround, which is amazing considering our quarterback turmoil we had. I'm excited. But enough about me and my successes and your losses, Con and the Bucks being trash, and Tom Brady retired too. So good luck
Hey,
with
man,
whatever
this
you have
guy.
next
For
up on the
now, he's
docket.
retired for now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
There's
dude.
still a
Yeah.
chance.
this did happen before. All right, so let's get into the actual show now. Now that I'm done bragging about how good my team is this year.
Yeah, for sure. Trash, but okay.
First up on the slate, the thing we've been waiting for, and he literally waited to the last possible day. It's gonna happen in January.
Dude.
January 31st, it happened. James Gunn has announced his slate I don't have it up currently, but I'll tell you what I'm excited for, and then we can get into maybe Stevens and maybe Andrew right after that. So, what I saw that I'm excited for is a couple things. One, the 4 films that I've been complaining about this year coming out, and me saying they have nothing to do with what's going to happen next. So why should I go watch them? He addressed it. The first thing he said was, "These 4 films are going to lead into what I'm going to build as well," which it does a few things for me. One, it makes the Flash more important to me. Which one, they've all said it's a great movie. When Gunn comes out and says it as well, that I'm excited for it. It's a great film, as well as all the press coming out for that movie, and it's going to reset his version of the DCEU. I'm on board with that film again. I was not off board in the first place, but it's more important now than it was before.
Yeah.
The same thing with like Aquaman. There was this big Jason Momoa thing talking about, I'm excited for this next project that I'm going to do that wasn't Aquaman 2 because it's a dream project of mine. Everyone thought Lobo was going to be the thing. But if he's going to remain Aquaman post Flash,
I don't know how that's going to work, dude.
Yeah, it really leads me to think of 2 things. One, it sucks that I'm not going to see him as Lobo because he'd be a great Lobo.
Yeah, for sure it would be.
But 2, it leads me to believe that so if this is his dream project, whatever it's going to be, is it him as Aquaman in like a Dream Justice League scenario that he didn't get to play before? That's where I'm at with that. I'm excited for Booster Gold. My favorite character besides Spider-Man on the DC side of things is Booster Gold. He's super, super, super like cult famous. Like he has a cult following in the comic book world. Not very big or like brand forward. But he is a fantastic character. He has crazy like mental things he has to go through, everything like that. Crazy emotional things he goes through as well. But he's always a fun character at the end of the day. So for him to get a full-fledged TV show, they can flesh him out and make him what he's supposed to be. It makes me excited. There are some things I heard that I didn't know about. I'm not the biggest DC buff in the world. But
what was that?
I'm excited for those things. There's one called like a couple. There's 2 different ones actually. Let me see if I can find what they're called. But it's like those 2 different teams they had.
There's the creature one.
Yeah, that creature
the creature one's going to be good. The creature commandos.
Yeah,
that's one of them. Yeah,
I think that's going to be a great movie just because James Gunn did amazing things with a cast of Guardians of the Galaxy that really nobody kind of focused on. Nobody really knew them. They're a bottom tier comic book. They weren't, much of anything. The fact that Commandos is going to be done, I think that's the only animated one, correct? Or is that going to be a live action?
I think that was the only animated that he mentioned, but he said that there was going to be more. No. Waller. The Waller one was also animated.
Okay, good. Because I think those 2 out of all of them could be the best 2, not best 2, but should be the animated ones. Because there's really like that cult following is not there for Commandos unless you get those OG DC heads. But even then, that's not going to do anything for the DC universe. They need to capture those big names like Lantern, Swamp Thing, those Superman. Those are the ones they need to hit. Like it has to hit. I think Booster Gold's going to be good because the character has that cult following. He's very marketable. I think DC. I know they're in talks right now. I think with one of the actors to play that. I can't remember who it was. They said rumor wise, but the fact that that's going to be on HBO Max, if I'm correct, I think that's going to be a good show. I think HBO Max has not missed lately, so I think it's going to be a good one.
For me, I'm looking forward to the Batman, the Bold and the Brave, or is it just the Bold? I think it's the Bold.
Oh yeah,
the Brave and the Bold.
Yeah, but my hope is they give us just kind of like a slightly psycho Damian that's got to be reeled in.
Yes.
And kind of the trajectory of Batman movies is it seems like each one has been darker and then darker and then darker.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that this one becomes like the darkest because you have a child who's born as an assassin and he's got to learn how to change him into Robin.
Yeah. So I had a question about that movie in particular. Out of all of them, I am more of a Batman fanboy than anything. So how comfortable do you guys feel, or how happy or are you guys with that they're going straight to Damian? Do you feel any kind of way that they're going to miss out on Jason Todd, Nightwing? Are you going to feel any kind of way that those stories aren't being told, or are you cool with going straight to Damian because this is the first time we're seeing him in the DCU or any kind of movie live action like this? Are you guys cool with that, or do you guys kind of feel a little?
So when I first heard it, I was a little disappointed.
Yeah.
Just because Dick Grayson is my favorite Robin who becomes Nightwing. The only thing that kind of gave me hope was Gunn said something to the fact of the Bat family, which
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that.
I think if he plays his cards right, you have an older Batman with a son, and then you have a developed Nightwing, hopefully, because we haven't seen Nightwing other than in Titans. He's fan favorite now. But then we could also get that Bat family, Batgirl. So that's kind of the hope that I had. But at first I was a little disappointed. But at the same time, we've gotten a Dick Grayson before. Yeah. I'm okay with Damian. I feel like, again, with how dark Batman's getting, it seems to make sense.
Yeah. To tap in here with that same conversation. My favorite Robin is everyone's not favorite Robin, which is Tim Drake. So don't judge me too harshly for that, but he's my favorite because he's hold on. Tim is the only one. Tim has enough edge to him to where he's not just like tugging on his cape the whole time like Dick Grayson was when he was Robin. But two, he's disciplined enough to where he's not Jason Todd or Damien either. He is like the perfect companion piece.
Yeah, he's
Batman.
the best. Yeah, he's the most. If I'm Batman, I'm taking him because I know where his head's at, and I know where he's gonna be. Where all the other guys' emotion ran wild with those dudes.
Right. So
I agree with that. I take that back. I rebuttal or retract.
Yeah. With that being said, I'm probably never going to see a Tim Drake just because he's the most popular one in the world. And if I do, it's going to be like not attached to the DCEU because he's not as marketable as a Damian Wayne, as a Jason Todd, or as a Dick Grayson is. Am I upset about the Dick Grayson thing or the Jason Todd thing? Do I think they missed out on things? I think James Gunn wants, as we've seen from like what he's announced so far, he wants fresh newness to the DC world. And Damian being a newer character, just period, and not being as touched on in any kind of capacity of like TV shows or movies. I think it's a good opportunity for him to showcase a new shiny thing that's going to be present and a staple to the DCEU world that's going to be drawing people in. Right? I know one of my good buddies who isn't a big comic book reader, but he's like into comic book stories. The first thing he said was like, I don't know about Damian Wayne, and I told him like. Damian Wayne's attributes, the cold-bloodedness,
the attitude,
him telling Bruce to his face, you're kind of
weak.
Yeah, like sorry, you should be doing more than this. Him killing guys in front of Bruce without any remorse whatsoever. And it brought out that certain aspect of quality of like, okay, so this maybe this is a different kind of Robin than we're gonna ever see before. I think they can still tie in the Jason Todd thing. They could still tie in the Dick Grayson stuff. But to me, it also sounds like what's going to happen with that is they didn't want two Batmans and two of the same Robins. I think eventually we'll get Matt Reeves's having probably Dick Grayson in there. I don't think they want to overstep those boundaries as much as they can help it. He wants things to be very clearly labeled. This is DCEU. This is Elseworlds. So having two Dick Graysons or two Jason Todds at one time is going to conflict things. And Damian's so far ahead of Batman's life that where Matt Reeves' Batman is at, we'll never even touch that. And if it does, Damian's long gone before that.
So that's one of my biggest concerns because when Ben Affleck took over for Batman, I got upset that Batman was old.
I'm the opposite. I liked that.
But it kind of messed up the timeline because so is Batman going to meet Superman and be old? You know what I mean? Like, is it like how is that going to work?
Probably. I think you guys touched on it last week. I think we're kind of all burnt out of origin stories.
Yeah, we are.
And so I feel like this approach is probably the best way to do it. And for me, I think Affleck's Batman was one of the cooler ones. I wish they would have expounded on that because you have the whole Jason Todd scenario in that universe.
Yeah.
but it was cool to see someone who was like still in his prime, but
seasoned,
you
kind of.
you don't need to see like how he became the Batman, even though they kind of did in the opening credits. But I'm totally fine with them. Just like, hey, here's where we're at. I'm established. Honestly, I'd be fine if they're like, hey, we already know about the other supers. Like, again, we know how it all comes together.
Yeah, true.
And I think DC's just got to take the plunge and say, hey, this is where we're starting and keep going, versus the cycle that they've been doing is, well, this didn't work, so let's restart it.
Yeah.
Restart it.
I'm like, me and Matt were talking about last week. We're kind of over the whole origin. Like unless it's like a single movie like Booster Gold that's gonna keep me like to get me hooked. I'm in.
Yeah, or something new.
Something new.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in. But telling me the same story of how Superman became Superman, and now, well, speaking about origin stories, we have the Amazonian movie coming out, like Game of Thrones.
Yes.
He said.
Mhm.
So, how do you guys feel about that? You guys think that we need a Amazonian movie, or is it like that's something we could do without?
I think it's going to depend on like what the plot of he hinted at this like overarching plot, and it sounds like that's going to be a part of it. My hope is that it's like really far in the past, like way before Diana's time, just so that they can see like, do you think Wonder Woman, Amazon, like, this is like, no, this culture's been going on for centuries and centuries and centuries.
It was that's it. And I think they could do it in a great way. I would like to see who's going to be directing it before I would say a yay or a nay, but I'm actually kind of into it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why, but it kind of hooks me. I kind of want to see it.
This show, or I think it's a show, right? That they said, the Amazon show.
I think that one's a show.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be like a 6-part or something like that.
This is where I kind of get into my critique of what James Gunn has said and what he's done. It's giving off a nation needing to fight for their nation.
Mm-hmm.
Black Panther vibes.
I can kind of see that.
Right. So it's giving off the same platform of like, okay, look at this strong nation of people who have a hero in there as well. But when that hero is gone or not present, we are still a strong nation of people. I think if I go down what I heard James Gunn say and what I got out of it is it's reflecting a lot of what Marvel is now. What I mean by that is you have the Authority, which is in my book the same as the Eternals, a team that watches over everything and talks to everybody. That's what the Eternals are going to be. Black Panther and the nation of Wakanda will probably be the nation of the Mysterio, or whatever it's called. And that'll be the same kind of thing. One heroic person, but a nation of strong people. You have your core characters that are going to be a little bit on the younger side, a little bit more challenged, right? So you have Superman, the boy who's going to come out, not the boy, but the guy who's going to be new to the human world as it is today, and be the poster child of what good is, aka Captain America. You're in today's world now, and you're the poster child of what good was back in your home planet or whatever. There's a lot of like faces of things that like reflect what Marvel's already done and what they're going to continue to do. I think for me, what I was really excited about was actually the lack of information we got about what the focal point of all is going to tie into. So he said, we're going to all tie it all in together, but what's the focal point tying it all in? What's the big bad thing? What's the big main focus that everyone's like, okay, we need to get together to find that thing. And I'm glad that he didn't just come out and say it. Right. I'm glad he didn't announce any kind of villains, any film whatsoever. We got very little in terms of like actual story and what we're going to see. It was more just like, here's what we have on the docket. And I also like that he said that a lot of it is still in the process of being written, aka Superman and everything like that, because it means James Gunn is taking his time with things. They're not rushing, right? They don't need to get another film out by next year. He said 2025 might be the newest film they get out. It's going to be by 2025. So, like, I'm glad they're just kind of pumping the brakes a little bit. I do think James Gunn saw the formula that works in Marvel and is taking it with him. Why wouldn't he? It works, right? I just think what James Gunn's going to need to do to, like, get the edge over Marvel in that same situation is, like, we've talked about it many of times. DC has that darkness to them they can bring in that they just refuse to, like, go full darkness on.
That Constantine, that Constantine dark gritty kind of
Not even
nasty
just like
world.
not even just like darkness in the sense of like tone or mood, just the gritty
I
aspect of
think
what
that's the
the
hard part
present.
too, and that's what I'm slightly nervous of Gunn being in full control.
Yeah.
Is because he's
It's like
got
Taika
that goofy
Waititi.
size. Yeah, he's got that goofy side to him. So how do
Yeah.
you match that really dark tone? I'm sure he's gonna nail the music because he's always done really good with music.
Yep.
But he's also got that weird goofy, and it seems like the DC films have always had a hard time balancing where's the comedic relief and where is the dark, and then you're kind of like, what do I feel here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see
But
that.
hopefully he figures it out.
It's also
And I-
hard, I think, too, with DC, like their heroes being so super, and like, so what I always go back to, like with DC and Marvel, why Marvel to me is more successful in general, is because they have semi-relatable characters,
Mhm.
and DC has these far out of the world, like holier than thou characters. No one is gonna relate to Superman. You can't.
Mhm.
He's the perfect person. No one's gonna relate to Batman. He's the richest guy in the world. He's the top 1%. No one's gonna be able to like relate to a man who lives underwater or
Yeah, well, I think
that
that's
kind
where
of
they have
thing.
to get creative with like the writing. So again, I was super excited about this new Batman because you don't necessarily have to relate to a billionaire.
Mhm.
Now you can relate to a father with a son who's disobedient. Like
Yeah.
people can relate to that, but again, they have to go that direction.
Yeah, it's a good point. Good point. So let's pivot. I think we all have a sense of like we think this could be good. We see shades of good.
Still skeptical.
We still have shades of skepticism because at the end of the day, it is James Gunn running it, and this is his
Yeah.
first time doing a project this big, and we know what his tone usually is.
Mhm.
Even with like Suicide Squad, it was a similar tone. So I get it. Hesitancy is there. We didn't get much substance, but we got at least the bones and frameworks. They have potential, like always. They just need to live up to it. So pivoting, I know last week talked about Wakanda Forever briefly. I had homework for someone to do this podcast. They didn't do it, but the other person did it without having to be asked. So we're gonna touch on it real quick, just real brief,
Oh.
because I've been wanting to talk
I
some
was,
else about
I was
this.
ready to clap it out for you, man. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Turn in your homework, but sorry,
It was. I waited till the 11th
adult
hour. I watched
things.
it last night.
Oh, you should have
That's-
We should have postponed the podcast, and we could have just.
That's earlier than what my co-host
No,
Con
no.
here has done.
Yeah.
But let me
Sorry,
just
that I'm
touch on a couple
dedicated
things.
father and husband.
I'm also married and have a kid, newborn actually. And Andrew has 3 kids and married.
Oh, nice,
Anyways,
Andrew. I have 3 kids too.
Hey, there
When
we
are you gonna
go.
catch up,
married.
Matt?
Yeah.
Catch up, Matt. You're doing rookie
Pop, pop,
numbers.
pop.
At the end of the day, I do my job on this podcast.
Oh, I thought you were going someplace else with that doing the job
Priorities.
thing. I was like,
No. Can't go
my
there.
bad.
It's a kid show. Anyways, so Wakanda Forever. I want to talk to somebody else about it. The last person we had on that was not Con, hadn't seen it. Con still hasn't seen it, even though it's come out on Disney Plus, so full 24 hours now. So a couple things I want to touch on that I'm going to tell you briefly that I told them more in depth. If you want more explanation, you can have it, but just briefly.
Can you do this with no spoilers? I don't want to hear anything though.
No, Namor, freaking amazing.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Every time he was on screen, took it away by far. The new Black Panther, they did a good job of executing it. It wasn't like forced or anything like that. It felt natural and progressive. Angela Bassett deserves her Oscar nomination.
Yes.
Yeah, she was nuts.
Riri, cool character, wrong time. Kind of felt forced. Similar to America Chavez and Doctor Strange. The conflict of war between the two of them, freaking loved it.
Yeah.
The edginess of how Namor just like ran through the place was fantastic. And I think it's a direction of like a slight bit of darkness from Disney off the heels of Doctor Strange horror movie to this now kind of brutal killing of people. Loved it. The thing Shuri goes through, not just the one thing, but the couple things she goes through, really makes me like her a lot more as a character.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the post-credit scene and where that goes.
Yeah. So Shuri had some big shoes to fill. I don't think anybody could fill. Mr. Boswick's shoes on that, but the way that they handled it was probably the best that they could do.
Yeah.
Because you didn't feel like there was stepping on any toes. You definitely saw her rise and fall and rise again, which was like good. And then there's lots of hope in the future.
Yes. Yeah, I think I'm going to spoil something for Mr. Courier here. And everyone who hasn't seen it, I apologize. Skip like 2 minutes ahead. It's going to be a very brief statement here. When Feige said there's going to be a T'Challa or a Black Panther left in the world, I didn't think he meant that. And I'm glad that he did, because that could grow into a lot more longevity for the Black Panther mantle later on.
For sure.
So, yeah.
Not only that, they still are giving us a hope that there could be a T'Challa and a Storm marriage coming our way.
Yes, and that could be great.
That's leading all that into King the Conqueror. Yeah.
Now put this in context of like, that was the positives. What were your negatives?
Honestly, I enjoyed. There wasn't really anything that I didn't really like. I was just like, the only vibes that I got was kind of like on Age of Ultron, where it just felt like it was a plug. Like, hey, here's something we're cooking up in the future. We're gonna plug it in. But I think the actress, I think she'll be cool. I think she'll be able to hold her own. It felt weird that she just kind of like came, and it feels still slightly too soon after Iron Man, but
yeah. Cool. So as long as you don't have like too many gripes about it, which I mean, coming from you, the man who critiques everything, to hell and back.
Honestly, cool. I enjoyed it.
Where do you put it in the slate of Phase 4?
Oh,
and where do you put it overall in Marvel terms? Not a hard number, just like Marvel terms, top third, middle third, bottom third, and then overall for the phase. Where do you put above it? Where do you put below it?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. So in Phase 4, obviously you got to give the top spot to Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah.
But I'd probably say it's like a second or third. I really feel like Phase 4 hasn't had like anything that's wowed me.
Mm-hmm.
But this one was good. And then honestly, I'd probably put it in maybe lower bottom third out of all, maybe high
really
2/3, but like right around there. But it was emotional. Like,
so Guardians 2 above it or below it?
Oh, way above it. You forget I'm like the biggest Guardian 2. I'm the biggest Guardians 2 hater. That's like
Wakanda's way above Guardians.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. What's your middle of pack movie? Let me think here.
So wait, I want to judge real quick just so I can get his list. What's your least favorite? Like out of like if it's on time.
If I see it come up, I'd probably be like, no, I don't really want to watch that. Honestly, Guardians 2 is probably pretty close to that.
Thor 2.
Thor 2, yeah, Iron that's Man another 3. One. I like Iron Man 3, Iron Man 2. Iron Man 3, I'd probably pick over Iron Man 2 though.
Yeah, for sure, I would too.
Yeah.
Okay, I just needed to know which, because if you were like,
well, what's your top now? Tell me. So, because me and you, Andrew, we agree on the number one still. I think this fellow here doesn't agree with me on that, but that's a different debate.
Top one is Winter Soldier. Like,
yes,
Winter Soldier is a really good movie, but I don't know why, but I love Age of Ultron. I have no. Yeah. I think it's because I like the villain so much.
Makes me sick to be honest.
But
yeah. Age of Ultron's probably in my bottom tier, but
I think it's in most. But it's a taste thing.
It had some cool stuff. It just I felt like it was Disney's plug movie. Like, I'm gonna plug.
Oh, like adding new characters kind of thing.
Not only that, but just like hinting to what they're doing. Like they just made it too obvious. Like,
it was an obvious bridge.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, Winter Soldier.
Yeah, Winter Soldier's a classic, dude. It's a good movie.
So good. Yeah. Not just like a comic book film, just a good film.
Yeah.
Like good film. Cinema.
Just like
speaking on that,
like so Godfather 2, Winter Soldier.
So let me ask a question real quick because I haven't watched Wakanda. Wait, what? What'd you say?
Continue.
I just didn't know if I heard blasphemy or something. Anyways, so Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. I was talking to a buddy earlier today about it and his gripes with it, and his big gripe was the fact that what's the guy, the White Wolf that Bucky turns into? Is it the White Wolf?
Yep.
Did you guys feel like this movie needed him in that, or did you feel like there was already too much going on with this film to add a character like that with kind of no explanation besides?
I don't know what he would have added to the story had he been in there.
Nothing.
Gotcha.
He just would have been muscle at that point. And
Yeah, I think
his arc within Winter Soldier and the Falcon, it takes him away from having to even be there.
Yeah.
I think the only excuse you have for him being there is that he was there for such a long time that he would feel for the king and being gone and them needing a protector. But the situation of the timeline isn't clear on like if he's busy with what he's doing in fucking Winter Soldier,
Yeah,
versus
for
what's
sure.
happening now or not. Not to mention that I think like to Andrew's credit, what he just said, like I think he's in a spot where like he isn't in a place to like go anywhere else or do anything else.
Yeah.
And they've damaged him in Winter Soldier so much, like from a power level standpoint, that like he wouldn't even done anything compared. Like if that Winter Soldier showed up in fucking Winter Soldier, he wouldn't have helped against Namor anyway.
Yeah,
You know
he
what I
just
mean?
would have been muscle with a gun. Like that.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything like there's no story support. There's nothing that ties him into it. I don't
Okay,
didn't see any need to have him. And I love Bucky.
All right. Yeah, I do too. I think he's a great character.
So
I think it's really good.
Sticking with the TV show entertainment theme, let's have you seen Star Wars Vision, both of you guys?
Yeah, I have. I'm a big fan of it.
So one, I haven't seen all of them. I've only seen like 2 or 3 of them. They're pretty good though. I'm just not the big like I'm not a big anime kind of person.
That surprises me.
Yeah, I've tried, man.
Me too.
I've tried. What's it called? What's the one I tried?
Just have that anime look to your face.
Oh, he
Is it because I'm Asian?
No.
Oh, okay. Just want to clear that up real quick.
Yeah, to me, it was the hair. No, it's he tried Demon Slayer. He watched like 3 or 4 episodes of Demon Slayer,
and it was good. And I like it wasn't like what I saw didn't pivot me away from watching it. I've seen Avatar: The Last Airbender to my credit.
That's more like American anime though.
I've seen Korra to the credit of animes.
I let him count those as animes because I'm just happy he's watching it, so I don't say anything. You know,
to get the brass tacks of why I don't watch animes.
Yeah, me either.
There's just way too many, and what I mean by this is like the big animes that everyone hypes up. There's way too much fluff in the middle of things.
Yeah.
Like I'm not trying to watch One Piece to watch 300 episodes and then have an important part, and then 300 episodes and then an important part.
That is
100% any anime that I've seen. Now, Demon Slayer got right into it. So I liked it a lot. I want to try Hunter x Hunter. I mean, I want to try them. What happens is I'm just so much more into like live action TV dramas that like I'd rather watch Succession, which if you haven't seen that's a good show by the way. I'd rather watch Succession over like not wasting my time, but not watching Star Wars Visions. All that to say, Star Wars Visions season 2 or volume 2 they call it. Has a release date. I believe it's in May. If I'm
dang, that's quick.
Yeah,
it's quick turnaround. They have their studios announced. I don't know any of them. I'll tell you guys who they are, just because you guys probably know more than I do. They're doing a thing this year or I don't know if it happened already, but Con pointed out to me when they first announced that it was coming out in the first place, is they're doing like a different episode, anime from different studios in different countries. So the first studio is called Al Khoury, which is Spain. Second one is Cartoon Saloon, which is Ireland. Third one is Punk Robot, which is Chile. Fourth one is Aardman, which is UK. UK usually doesn't do things that great anyway, but UK. Studio Mir, which is South Korea. Studio La Cacheta, or La Cachette, probably because it's France. France. 88 Pictures, which is India. Triggerfish, which is South Africa. And Dart Stagio in Japan. I apologize for anybody that I butchered that there. The Japan one is in collaboration with Lucasfilms US. That's the only one that US is touching. They have titles. I can tell you them. I cannot tell you them. But let's get into like the prospect of having an episode from a different country representation? Will it gel well together? Is it going to be an amalgamation of cool art that we see? Is it going to be vastly different? Like, are we going to notice, hey, this is going to be definitively like the Spain style to anime versus like Japan or India? Steven, I'll let you go first.
I really, really think it's going to be totally different. The only one I've ever heard of out of all those lists were Punk Robot in Chile. They do a lot of like very kitty like shows, kind of like a Peppa Pig kind of thing.
Interesting.
So they do that kind of artwork. They also do a lot of like I don't want to say clay animation, but it's a lot of like little figures that they move, snap picture,
like Wallace and Gromit.
Yeah, or like Nightmare Before Christmas kind of thing. They're known for that kind of work. Their work, if you look them up,
it's interesting.
You'll see, and you're going to be very amazed. Like, whoa, like Star Wars like this. You know what I mean? I hope, to be honest with you, I'm kind of interested. I kind of want them to do it like this. I hope they don't try to step out of the box. I really hope they try to do
I think that's the whole point, and I think the Vision's first volume did well enough to where they have that free reign where it's if it's going to be in black and white, we're going to like it. And again, I think Vision specifically isn't so much about the characters or what's going on, but more so like the appreciation of the different art styles. At least that's what I got from it. It was like some of them was cool, some of them was like not my thing, but wasn't bad. I would imagine they're all going to be just crazy different. It's like Star Wars' way of doing a what if series almost.
Yeah, that's a very good bridge that I never made. That explains, if I'm going to explain to somebody who's never seen it, that's like the best way to that's really good.
They just can do whatever they want with it. And it's like,
yeah, man, go for it.
And I
hope they pick from that. And I hope that with the new Star Wars coming out, I really hope they see that. And I did put it in the Discord if you guys want to see those picks. What is it? I hope that they pull from some of these storylines in art and do stuff in the future. You know what I mean? I think some anime Star Wars would be dope.
I think that's the cool thing too, is if they find something that people really, really like, then take that and expand on it. Like, it's basically no risk Star Wars.
Yeah, dude. That's
if
exactly
we don't like it, we're at least going to appreciate the art. If we like it, we can get more of it.
And then you get to see what's marketable. Because think about it, they get a poppy little cute Star Wars show, and they're like, wow, we're seeing that people are into this. You know what I mean? Let's do a 7-piece on Disney Plus. Here's all the merch. Here's all the money. You know what I mean? That's
and then Disney just basically outsources it to that studio to take it, or is probably going to buy them up. They're going to buy everything.
And think about it. If you're a little studio like that, and you're like, Disney comes knocking, hey, we have a contract. It's like, cha-ching, boys, we just bought a house. You know what I mean? You know, I'm not even mad at that. You know, get your stacks. But
so let me ask you this about the studios and about Disney and everything like that. Do you think it's important for those studios to decide where they go, what they do, and how they do it? Like if Disney throws an offer at them and they decide to deny it, that's a good thing or a bad thing. Doesn't really matter, right? But the important part is their decision, right?
Yeah.
So then why are you on board with them buying Activision and not making their own decisions about what platform they should be hosted on?
So if the studio
gotcha.
No, you didn't get nothing. I'm still salty that Hogwarts has 500 PlayStation exclusives that I can't get. I'm still salty. Salty.
If you want to come over one day, you can play mine if you want.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to play on yours. I want to play on my PC or I want to play on my Xbox. And the fact that I have to. It's just so dumb, dude. Like, why doesn't Microsoft just buy everything? You know what I mean? And then it's all under Microsoft, and then we're good.
To be fair, though, with Disney, I think even though if they did buy up those studios, I think they would just let them do their own thing.
Yeah, it's a little different. But my point was that the studio.
I saw what you're doing. I didn't like it.
Yeah, Yeah.
So sticking to the Star Wars theme, a game that I know I was excited for, just knowing Andrew and how much he freaking loved the first one, he was excited for. Me and Steven talked about it behind closed doors. We were excited for it. Breaks my
Yeah,
heart.
man.
But Star Wars Jedi Survivor has been delayed. Andrew, this is brought to my attention by you. Do you know how long it was delayed? 6
6
weeks?
weeks.
Month and a
6
half?
weeks. Mm-hmm.
That's not that
So
bad.
they-
I thought it was gonna be like 4 or 5 months. That was gonna
Okay.
be my next question.
Yeah.
So here's
Ooh.
there's a little bit of controversy because if you look at the timelines of things,
Mhm.
it seems like there's not really a great reason for this delay. The announcement that they said they want to polish it, make sure there's no bugs. I don't know if I believe it to the fullest extent, but if we're talking about like content release, it leads up to where we have basically no more Star Wars content to have, and then it releases.
This is post Mando? Okay, I see what you
Mhm.
mean. So the 6 weeks, is that 6 weeks of Mando episodes that are happening those same weeks? Okay. Okay. Out of 6, I imagine, or 6 out of
Yeah.
8 at least.
Which again, I don't think that Respawn Studios would be that shady. It's
Mhm.
probably like Daddy Disney being like, "Well, we need you to delay it a little bit longer," and they're probably ready to go. But I mean, even if it is for that reason, just tell us. Like,
Yeah. What? Okay. So let me be devil's advocate because I'm a big conspiracy like questioner.
mhm.
So this is the conspiracy you're bringing to my table here. My table's nice and set up for what I call devil's advocate comebacks. There hasn't since Kenobi to now. What are we getting from Star Wars anyway? Like there's the gaps in Star Wars things have happened regardless. I don't think a game of
Well,
the
it's not
lack
that
of
there's a
Star Wars
gap.
content,
It's they don't want to have it overpassing each other.
but it's a game.
Still, it's Star Wars.
It's a game
It's still-
versus the biggest IP that Star Wars currently has, which is Mandalorian by far. Like-
Yeah, that one. But again, this is like the game that people have been waiting for. Like, you beat the first game and you're like, when's the second one coming out?
I don't know. I just don't. To
You
me,
think
it'd be like
6
a
weeks for bugs?
to me,
for
it'd be a
bugs?
conjunction thing. It'd be like I'd want to be all engulfed in Star Wars for the next 6 weeks, kind of a thing.
Yeah, but think
It's
about
usually
like
how it
content
happens.
creators. Content creators for Star Wars are going to be all consumed in the game, doing live streams, playing it when they could be talking about other things.
Other Mandalorian things. I mean, I get it. I could see like the self competition thing, right?
It's-
CVS versus Walgreens are the same company, but they're across the street from each other. I get it, but I'm just more excited to late in the first place. I'm as a new software engineer to the world, I can see how bugs can take up to 6 weeks. So that doesn't surprise me if they do say that.
Yeah, but
But
think of it from a distribution. You probably have a week, maybe 2 weeks in getting games to retail stores.
yeah,
And they're going to sit there for a week before they
for a week, yeah,
3
shelf
weeks
space.
now.
Yeah,
You're telling me it's a 3 week delay for just bugs, not including making everything. Just seems a little fishy. That's all I'm saying.
So I'm looking at right now. We'll just go video game for video game. I'm looking at the release date for February and looking at the release date for March. I kind of agree with you, Andrew. I really think it's more for content for the Star Wars world, not so much for games, because there's
Mhm.
nothing really dropping that
Mhm.
I could see Star Wars going, hey, it's not like the new Call of Duty's about to drop. Let's
Mhm.
push it back so we're not competing. The month looks dry for like besides the Last of Us remake in March 3rd. I don't
Nothing.
see that really. I don't think that really competes with the new Star Wars game. And then in February, it's a whole bunch of just like yeah, I'm not even looking at anything here that's worth. Hogwarts is
That's the
February, and
only
then
game that comes out this month that's worth buying.
yeah, and that's the only game I could see maybe
Hold
people
on.
don't buy.
It's not true. Season 2 of Call of Duty comes out in a couple days. All right.
Yeah, but you'd already have it.
Got some respect. I gotta pay $20 though.
I don't know. About
My tier
$10.
skips.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
So real quick, before we continue on with this conversation,
yeah, for sure.
I think Andrew's Hufflepuff. Am I right about that?
I am not Hufflepuff.
Oh, what are you?
Ravenclaw.
I am a Ravenclaw.
Oh, so you're not important at all.
No,
Steven, what are
the
you?
most important.
I'm actually a Gryffindor.
Gryffindor.
Yeah. I took it a couple times, and I kept getting Gryffindor, and I did the Facebook one, Gryffindor. I always get Gryffindor.
The one that I did that I was told to do by an incredibly obnoxious Harry Potter fan.
Who's that?
The one below our screen here.
Ooh, we got two Harry Potter fans up in here.
A man who made me come to his house.
Let's touch wands together
and watch. Okay, whoa, kid show.
My bad.
I came to his house every week to watch it. I think I told you about that, Steven. And
you
I had a lot of critiques. A lot with the first 3 films.
I still stand by. You start at 4.
Yeah. I think
True.
I Hufflepuff is what I became.
Yeah.
Being. So I'm okay with being like Cedric, the coolest person in all of the entire movies.
Cedric's fire. I like Cedric.
Right. I die a little quickly.
You know that he actually becomes Batman. It's crazy.
I know, it's wild. It's like the post first life depression really hit him. So like
you got
a lot of brooding.
I thought it was because he became Edward right after, and then he became Batman.
Fair enough.
There you go.
Fair enough. So yeah, I mean the gaming thing makes me sad. I'm gonna play it regardless. I think we all are. Sticking with the gaming theme, let's talk about something that's a passion for Edgar specifically, or Andrew. Sorry. He is very well. I'm big into Call of Duty esports. That's my thing. I'm a Call of Duty esports person.
I'm getting into it now. I'm definitely getting into it.
I did touch on what I'm about to talk about here with Andrew, just because me and him worked together for a long time, and I watched it not with him, but in conjunction with him. And we talked about it a lot, and I really liked it a lot. It's one of the most exciting esports there is. That is Rocket League. The North American season or championship starts tomorrow. I'm a betting man, and when it comes to betting on esports for Rocket League, I text Andrew every day about it pretty much once the series starts.
So who's the team? What's the team to
top
watch?
dog? Yeah.
Okay. So in North America, well, first of all, let's back up real quick because last week Europe, and there's one thing I wanted to touch on Europe. So there's this team called Vitality, which has kind of got an interesting scenario going on. In Rocket League, you typically have a 3-man team. Vitality currently has a 4-man team, but one of their team players isn't of age to competitively play yet.
Oh.
So they have this 4-man team that once he turns 15, he can then compete. But the problem is this kid's supposed to be like the prodigy, like the next greatest thing to ever come along. And you have last week Vitality doing the best that they've done in about a year and a half. So now you have this 3-man team that's going to be a 2-man team plus this prodigy. One of them is going to get booted.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting just to keep an eye on. But jump back over to the North American region. Teams to keep an eye out for. You got Gen G, which is another really interesting team because 2/3 of their team moved across the sea from Europe to come compete in the North American team and just have dominated this last split that we had. So the way that works, there's 3 splits. Each split ends up in a regional. They are the last regional, North American regional champion. Tomorrow starts split 2. And it's probably going to be them just tearing everybody else apart. Gen G actually also, I forgot this too, there was an international LAN, and they won that too.
I'm looking at their point total right now, and they have 20 points above anybody else in North America. So that's how many points is a match, just so we can get clarity on that.
So it's not really, it's basically ends how you place. They just changed it, so there's not really like a good way to do it. Basically, if you just tune into their stream, they'll tell you how many points they're going to win. I don't really watch the points too much other than I know that if you're in the top 3, you typically get about 10, 20 points more than the other. Actually, no, that's probably changed since last season. It's probably about 4 to 5 now. Because it used to be that there were just wild points. But Gen G, definitely keep an eye on them. So these two European guys, apparently Jack and Noli, they move over to Canada. They pick up this unknown bubble player, and they just start destroying everybody, which is like, this guy's been over here. Nobody's picked him up in North America. These guys, and they literally like have no time to practice scrims or anything. It's like they move,
Straight
they
in
start.
it, huh?
Yep. So it's been crazy to see what they've done, and they have done a really good job. FaZe Clan, also another one to watch. They have arguably one of the best mechanical players in First Killer, who just, anytime you watch him, there's just something he does that's like, how do you do this?
Yeah, that's
modern
crazy.
day Justin.
They are still struggling. Yeah, Justin's still great. He's probably still one of the best, but NRG can't figure it out. They got rid of their coach. And that didn't work. So if it doesn't work this split, you'll probably see a roster change between them, which I think they've been a team for almost 2.5 years now.
Yeah. So let's touch on this real quickly. Okay. A couple things before we continue on with like what you think will happen and what will happen. One, when you look at a team at the very top of their game, Gen G versus Furia, for example, you're looking at it from a standpoint of like when I look at Call of Duty, there's positions, there's rotations, there's gun skill, right? When I look at Rocket League, it's almost like you're either at this pro level or you're not, mechanically wise anyway. So what separates a Furia esports team from a Gen G team?
So it's crazy because Furia last season was probably the number one team. They're a South American team that just moved to North America, and so now they're kind of like getting their bearings on playing North American teams versus South American teams. But there are different play styles. So Europe has a very slow, very pass-playing, controlled game where they'll play a little bit more defensive and then capitalize on the mistakes. Versus the North American side is a lot more flashy, fast-paced, kind of in your face. Same thing with South America. They just play as fast as possible. So what happens is typically in a region, there are teams that know how to play each other and basically combat what they're good at. But the way that this new structure of RLCS has happened is it's allowed more and more teams to be funneled through. It used to be just 10 teams would all play each other, kind of like a league play kind of scenario. Now you have an open qualifier where anybody goes through the bracket. That team, if they make it, cool, you're in. That basically makes teams that are used to playing each other feel uncomfortable because now it's a different play style than they're normally accustomed to.
Which is a good thing for exposure and for just keeping freshness in the league.
Yep. The second one is a closed qualifier, and then the last is an invitational. So if you make it through the closed qualification, chances are you're going to be at the invitational too. So it's really all about that open qualifier bracket. But it's basically what it comes down to in the 3-man squad is everybody's got to be good. You can't like rely on one person being in the net, one person playing up. It's everybody's got to be able to do each other's job at any given point.
So do you think with adding so many more teams from North America, South America, and like kind of having it all, more, do you think it's going to hurt the league by not being able to like find a team you identify with and like and to be watch them? Or do you think it's better for the culture having just seeing new blood? You know what I mean?
I think it's better because now you're seeing these people that you've never even heard of who are able to keep up with. I think like, look at Gen G, Chronic. This guy nobody had ever heard of. 2 European guys pick him up, and he's on his way to being at the World Championship, no problem. And what you're starting to see a lot now that is really exciting is people aren't afraid of making big continental moves. If, hey, there's more money in North America, I'm going to go to North America.
So do they physically have to move, or is it more of, it's a physical thing?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. That's impressive.
That point, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So leading into my second question of touching on coaching in esports, kind of, how effective is coaching in Rocket League? Because in Call of Duty,
it's huge.
I don't think it's huge at all in Call of Duty.
I think it's huge.
There's nothing that a coach adds value to or offers outside of like keeping like camaraderie and like
Mhm.
chemistry, which if people were adults, it'd be fine. But these are kids, kind of playing esports. Like to the point of like what I'm trying to say is Optic Gaming, for example, they just lost their poster boy of their entire franchise, which is Scumpy. Been playing Call of Duty forever. They were doing not very good with him. The person they dropped, they bring back in because he retired mid-season. They also fired the coach at the same time. They are now 3-0 without a coach. They are now at the top of every season play in this season, and they are now the one seed going into this weekend's major. So I see that, and I think, okay, and this is a coach that has won championships. Like Rambo Ray was like a good player, and as far as I knew, a good coach. But even the org owner and the player that got dropped initially has come out and said, like, honestly, coaches don't mean as much because of two things. One, they're not able to analyze the game in real time with us. They watch VODs, and they point out flaws in the VODs. But because Call of Duty is so chaotic, and Rocket League is the same way, if not more chaotic, things don't repeat themselves over again usually. And then two, they're not on the stage doing calls anyway. So like, how impactful is a coach in Rocket League? Because to me, in Call of Duty, it's not at all. But in Rocket League could be different. So them firing their coach, you think does what or doesn't do what?
So I think that it is impactful. And now I think it's been about 3 seasons. Coaches are actually on the stage with the players.
That's great.
And so between the match, there's a 1-minute break where the coach is talking like, and what I've personally seen is the coaches obviously not going to be as mechanical or as good as the game, but they help with that mental side. When you're playing a series and you're down 2, they have to be the ones that are, okay, here's what we're doing wrong. Here's what we need to change. Here's what, and again, they're watching the game happen. They see, hey, this player, he's taking the ball and he's scoring every time. We need to put 2 people on that. So they just bring in that mentality to it. Not only that, replays could go either way. Replays can help you. Some people argue they do. Some people argue they don't. The other thing that I would say is they're almost like a manager in the sense that they are encouraging or making sure that the players are practicing or scrimming.
That's kind of where I thought more or less where a coach kind of comes
because what
in.
you see is if like a team does really good and they win something, they start to slack off and then they just drop.
Yeah.
And if that coach isn't there to like recoup that and get them back into the grind mode, you see those teams that are just struggling big time.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's wrap it up with a mini game, right? This is the last part of the show. We're going on an hour now, which is about our time limit usually. We don't usually have a hard limit, but we want to keep it tasteful. So good insights from the RLCS side of things. Real quick, who's going to win? Who's going to look the worst? Who's your dark horse?
That's a good question. I'd be dumb not to say Gen G just based on results that they've currently had. Not only do they have the results, but those guys just grind. Those guys are just putting in tons and tons of hours. Let's see. I probably would say if you're watching one to really, really do poor this split, it's either going to be Optic or V1. And there's kind of a funny story. I'll tell it pretty quick, but there was going to be a trade that was going to happen that people started telling their moves too quick. So people were getting kicked from their team. Someone kicked someone from V1. They slotted over into Optic. Optic kicked their third, and then it didn't happen. So now you have these 2 teams with people that have known they've been kicked, but still have to play together. It's going to be weird. So those are probably the ones to watch.
Very salty, I bet.
Yeah.
Super awkward.
Yeah.
All right, so in the spirit of wrapping up the show, we do a mini game at the end of every show. This is our mini game segment. This week we had a request from our guest. Probably be on more frequently than not, by the way.
For sure.
You're making me happy with how you're doing here today. So the request of the guest is that we do this or that, or as he called it, would you rather? Last week we did this or that, where I asked questions and I said, would I do this? Would you rather do that? This time, though, which I'm excited for, I'm not involved in the questions. I'm just going to ask him to you two. I'm going to say, Steven, you go first and why. Andrew, you go first and why. And then I get to sit here and say, that's dumb. That's smart. Steven wins. Andrew wins. Andrew loses. Steven wins. I'm excited for that part of it.
But before we start, the baby question, the baby and the dog's talking.
Oh, yes.
I thought about this one a lot.
Did you?
I would say the dogs because Dogs are going to continue to talk. Baby, once they start to talk, they're talking.
The
So
magical
you want something
powers are
that's going to
done.
be 2 years before they start talking, or something that's going to last their entire life.
That's true. That's
Fair
good.
enough.
That's good. That's
Good
good.
answer. It's a good answer
Good answer.
from a question we didn't ask you. Okay,
Right.
next up.
But thanks for
okay.
watching the show. Did you like and subscribe?
did.
No, well, there we go.
It's there.
All right. So I have
There we
some.
go.
I have some. The first one's a banger in my opinion because it's a really
We'll be the judge of that.
So here's the first one. First up, in the spirit of having his first show with us, Andrew, you're gonna be first up, and then Steven, you're next up as well. So the first question is: you are guaranteed to live 100 years and 100 years only. Okay, you're only gonna be 100 years old, no less, no more. But you can take 5 years off of your life and go 100 years into the future. Would you do it? Yes or no?
Absolutely.
And why?
Because maybe I take the 5 years off and I go 100, and they know how to prolong life that much more.
No. There's only a guarantee of 100 years. There is no cheating.
There's no guarantee.
There's no genie. Give me more wishes.
Okay. That's the cop-out answer. All right, yeah. I still do it. So in the spirit of legacy, are you going to be remembered as the person that lived to be 100 years old? Or are you going to be remembered as the person who was able to travel to the future, talk to your family, and build that legacy?
It's a good answer. What entices you about the future other than that? Anything at all, or just for that? Is that the only thing?
I mean, that's probably the first thing that came to my mind is building the legacy, but also technology, what it's going to be like. They're finally going to have flying cars.
Neuralink.
Yeah.
Cool. Steven, you're up. That's a good answer.
I'm gonna say the same thing. I'm going in the future. I want to see if they're still making Fast and the Furious movies. I want to see. You know what I mean? It's so like they're gonna be on Fast and the Furious. You know. ... It's gonna but I it's weird. The thing is that I don't want to like dip on my family. You know what I mean? Like I want to see my kids get older. Like if I got to pick, like I'm at 60 years old or 70 years old, and then I can do it, and then I only live for another like 15 years, but I get to go into the future. Yeah, I'm in. But if I have to make the decision like right now, poof, I'm gone 100 years in the future, I'd probably pump my brakes.
Yeah, I guess that's a good thing to think about, because I was thinking like 95, like what am I going to be contributing at 95 for those 5 other years? They're probably going to be pushing me in a wheelchair, wiping my butt.
Yeah. So, and to put a caveat to this question, since you guys all picked the future, you guys are both married men with kids. You don't get to mourn the losses of your kids or your wife until you're 100 years in the future. Those things don't happen until you go. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't realize that, hey, I actually, everyone I know now isn't going to be here. I'm kind of alone 100 years from now. Does that change anything for you guys?
No, I'd still probably go with the future.
Yeah, I would go at like 80 years old if I could.
Yeah, I'd probably try to prolong it as much as possible. Even like 65, 70. That's a lot of time.
Yeah. Question number 2 on the docket. Good answers, by the way. Since they were the same answer, you guys both win. I think the explanation was very well put from Edgar. But
like that legacy, huh?
Yeah, it's well done. Well done. Next question here. And we'll switch this time. So, Steven, you're first, and we'll keep going like that, snake-wise. Next one. Would you rather sing to every single song you will ever hear going forward without a choice? Song comes on, you have to sing it. Or would you rather dance to every single song you hear going forward?
That's a hard one.
Oh, man.
Okay. Because this kind of matters, do I know the words to every song? Or am I just going, okay. I'm going to sing for every song.
And you can dance, like you know all the words to the song. In the same breath, you also know how to dance.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I needed to know. I am going to sing everywhere I go because I don't want to be in Starbucks going, "Can I get a venti pike with my mocha?" In, you know what I mean? I don't want to be pop locking it as I'm trying to get a coffee. You know what I'm saying? But I'd rather be singing like a song in the background, because people are like, "Oh, you know the song." I'm like, "Yeah, I know the song," and I keep singing. You know what I mean? I can maneuver myself enough.
All right.
You know
so listen, let me just real quick. You're at your school, your son's school play. All of a sudden, you just hear booty butt cheeks.
Dang, you're stealing my argument, man. You're stealing. So let me do my argument. So I would rather dance because being a white male, there's probably words in public that I'd say that
Oh, I
would get
didn't
me in trouble.
think of that. That
Fair
is
enough. Fair
genius.
enough.
So, or there's terrible times where a song could come on and you got to sing that song,
Yeah.
i.e., a funeral.
Ooh, yeah. The preachers, if songs come on during like the funeral procession, like during like the slideshow video, and you're just like,
Oh, dude, I didn't think about that either.
you're just singing "Brick House" for no reason because it's someone's favorite song from before.
Yep.
Wow, both good answers, both good arguments, I would say. Per the arguments, and what I prefer as well, I'm gonna go with Steven this one, just because I would not want to be dancing randomly somewhere. I can like
both
I
are
can,
pretty bad.
you can like whisper and sing, you know, like
because what happens if you hear Cardi? But see, look at you hear Cardi B and what's her face's wet at, you know what I'm saying? That song. If you sing it loud, it's embarrassing. But if you drop it, like, you know what I'm saying? That's even worse. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I think, and I also think that singing in public, you get more credit, not credit, but you get more grace for that than just like shaking your rump. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, dude.
Yeah, and people understand. Oh, like, if I put a headphone in and like I'm just singing, it happens to be like what else I'm hearing around, whatever it is, what it is. But like, at least like there's an excuse, like, hey, I really like this song.
Yeah, we're just jamming.
What's wrong with you? Oh, I gotta dance.
Yeah, that's a little more difficult to.
How mad would your girl be though?
On.
Imagine that, dude, and you just with your wife, and then like a song, she's just like, "Get away from me," you know?
Yeah, could be bad. Could be bad. All right. So I'm gonna save this one for after this next one. So this one is gonna be: would you rather? And I want you to think about this, not just like
I'm shotgunning it. I'm just going straight.
Not just like one thing is like an evil thing because it's perceived that sometimes, and the other thing isn't.
Yeah.
Actually, think about like what the most useful thing is and why it's the most useful thing. Would you rather give up your air conditioning and heater for the rest of your life, or the internet for the rest of your life? Andrew, you're first.
Oh man. I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is going to be the AC and the heater. Heater, Arizona is not too bad. Winter, I don't even turn it on anyways. So we got like 4 months there.
It's the AC, man.
Versus the AC, I mean, I got pool. Jump in the pool if you get really hot. But no internet, man. I had to look up how to fix my garage. Wouldn't have been able to do that.
That is true. Yeah, you would have been. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably pick AC and heater. The summers are going to suck. Probably make me move.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to go the same boat. If you've never been to Arizona, I know the podcast listeners, and, you know, I live in this beautiful home behind me, but it is hot. You can't even think about going outside like in Arizona. It is hot, and there's people fall down and cook. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Now imagine being in your house with you, your spouse, and your 3 kids running around, going, it's hot. But I need the internet though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's
I think that's what it is, man.
Yeah, because like I think of like I couldn't even do half of the stuff in my house without the internet. Like everything's all connected now.
I feel uncomfortable talking about this. You know what I mean? Like,
hold on.
Like I'm getting hot right now. You know what I mean? Like,
let me kind of get on to what Andrew just said right now about his house connecting to the internet. So it was not Christmas time, but every time I went to his house in the middle of the summer to watch Harry Potter, he would go, Alexa, turn off Christmas lights. And his lights in his living room would turn on and off. And I'm like, why are you saying Christmas lights every single time? And Alexa, turn the Christmas lights off. And it's like, pink. And I'm like, I don't see. It's April. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
That has been changed. Now they're called the decorative lights.
Decorative lights.
Yeah.
There you go.
Good answers from both. They were the same answers. To piggyback off like a point that nobody really said, you could cool off and warm up with other objects outside of AC and
I said pool,
the heater,
a swamp cooler.
You can't replace the internet. There's no way to do it unless
No
you
way.
want to pay for cable again. Cool. Next up on the docket. When you go to the store, who was first last time? Steven was? Andrew was.
No, I was.
Andrew
So
was.
Steven, you're up first this next one. When you
Alright.
go to the store, would you rather have to buy 10 things that you don't need? Like I didn't go to the store for 10 things, but I have to buy them. Or would you rather always forget the one thing you went there for?
Oh gosh.
So I feel like I already do the first one. Every time I go to Target with my wife,
It's called being married.
it's called being married. So that one's actually pretty cool because sometimes I'll come home and there's like lavender leather shampoo, and I'm like, ooh, trying something nice today, like. So I think I'm gonna pick that. I have to buy 10 things because
Mhm.
I sent my wife right now for a coffee creamer, and I guarantee you, she came back with a plethora of things. So I'm gonna go. I'd rather buy 10 things than forget that one.
All right.
Literally, I have the same answer. My wife was like, "Hey, we bought these flaming hot chili cheese fry things I've never even had before.
Sounds good.
Sounds
Sure, I'm gonna like them.
Yeah.
Like them.
Yeah, definitely. But dude, how mad would you be if you're
Oh.
like you're making nachos and you just come back and you're like no tortilla chips and you're just
Yeah.
like, damn it,
Just
you know what I mean?
start pouring cheese on your hands.
Yeah, dude, it's just we're going caveman. We're going caveman today. Yeah, I'm gonna say I'd rather buy 10 things.
10.
10 things as well.
Yeah,
It's a
Good
very
arguments.
American answer too.
Yeah.
very
it is.
American.
It is. We're
Hey, but what can you say?
we're spoiled. That's not our fault. The British lost. So next one. Would you rather never eat watermelon ever again in your life, or have to eat it with every meal you eat? Andrew's
Hard.
first this time.
I would eat it every meal. Watermelon is something like I never get sick of watermelon. You put some lemon packets on it, season it up a little bit. You can do a lot with watermelon. It doesn't have to be the only thing you eat, but if I have to eat it every meal, I'm okay with that.
Do I have to
Fair
like take a bite of watermelons, like a bite, and then I'm good?
It's at least one of those.
Squares.
Like when you
triangles?
see like a watermelon picture of like the half crescent,
Yeah.
at least one of those every single time.
That's a lot of watermelon, my guy.
a lot of watermelon.
I'm gonna go hard pass on the watermelon. Watermelon does nothing for me. I'm gonna say watermelon is super overrated. It by the time someone cuts it, opens it up, and gets my piece, I'm good. I don't ever, you know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm solid. There's watermelon. There's no popsicle flavored watermelon one that is like, oh, I have to have the watermelon one. It's name one watermelon flavor anything that you like out there.
Watermelon Jolly Rancher.
Sour Patch Kids.
Mm-hmm.
That was
See,
off the dome. Very quickly.
I can go easily my whole life without eating any of those. So I feel like watermelon is a easy punt. I could see ya. I'm a hard pass on watermelon.
All right, so let me counter to both your points real quick because there wasn't a lot of explanation. I need more explanation than this. Okay, Andrew, you're at a nice steakhouse.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking like a $200 steak with your wife.
fine.
It's a nice, beautiful dinner out. Waiter comes, puts the plate down of steak, and you go, "Wait a minute,
Let me get my watermelon.
Slice me up a piece of that watermelon, please." And if you don't, I might not be able to eat this meal.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I carry around just in case.
It.
I carry one around for myself and just slice it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, if I saw you,
I would probably adapt and learn how to like make it in juice form. Just like squeeze it into a juice real quick.
No.
Bring one of those like Blendtec cups.
Eat every watermelon. I said. I didn't say find a way to puree it. Eat.
Yeah,
you're taking that half pressing. You're holding it in your hand. You're all middle of date night. Middle of date night in Shula's.
Yeah, I'd still do it. I love watermelon. I wouldn't pass up watermelon.
Makes me. I would.
Yeah,
If I saw a random dude in Shula's asking for a knife to cut the watermelon,
excuse me, my lord, can I have the knife?
Yeah. You just see some dude with a watermelon underneath their arm, just go into town, and you're just.
So the other extreme end of things, which I'm going to give it to you, it's a tougher one than what I gave Andrew because it's unfortunately just tougher in general. You're about to die in the desert and nothing but a watermelon. You're willing just to die rather than eat the watermelon?
Yeah, I'm good. They lived a good life. Maybe
Oh,
I'm 100
man.
years in the future and there's only watermelon. I'm
There it
good.
is. All
Dude,
right.
I remember one time we hiked the Grand Canyon and we had a watermelon up at the front, like back at the car.
Yeah.
That was so
So
good
refreshing.
afterward. Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude, I bet.
Nothing better
But I
than
would be-
watermelon in the summer.
I would do an orange. I'd rather have an orange. than-
Oranges are good as well.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Next question. Who I keep forgetting who's first. I think
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Steven's first this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one's these last two ones are kind of fun, interesting. So this first one is: would you rather have Beyonce's talent, and I mean like her talent of singing and talent of having fans, or Jay-Z's business acumen?
Like his business model, like
Jay-Z's business prowess, how he knows how to run businesses and operate and make negotiations, versus Beyonce's talent of being arguably the greatest singer of all time.
I want Jay-Z's business.
And why?
Or Jay-Z's
elaboration.
I want Jay-Z's business because if I can do what he does, I can think about it. If I sing really good, I'm a hard 4.5 on looks. You think my singing is going to make me rich and famous?
I would say you're a borderline 4.5, not a strong 4.5. But go ahead.
Right. Anyways, for the podcast people, I rolled my eyes at Matthew. I would have to say Jay-Z's business model because I'd rather just be able to start businesses, flip, do my thing, and become rich and famous than be, I guess, a low 4 and be able to sing like Beyonce.
I personally wouldn't even call it a 4, but if you had
oh my god, really?
It's a loose 4, you know?
All right, let me sell this one. I would take Beyonce's skill. Because if anything Ed Sheeran has taught to us is you can be a negative number.
Oh, I take that back.
That's very true.
Retract.
Compared to Chris Hemsworth, Steven, compared to Ed Sheeran, you're C Hemi, boy. Like you're up there.
Doug, you might be more respect on my name.
You might be a strong 4 now. I think about it that way.
Give me 4.5 and we can keep this going. Yeah, I feel you. I take that back. Andrew definitely won this one it's a
good argument. Good argument.
But then what about that one chick from America's Got Talent or American Idol, that hideous chick? Remember the chick that
she sang opera? What you say next year?
Don't remember.
She looked like a gargoyle, bro.
This podcast respects women of all kinds, shapes, sizes, and looks. Please disregard
no. What is her name?
The other man speaking right now.
She was like some English chick. She looked like
it's a British person?
Yeah, it's a British person.
Oh, yeah. By all means, what you need to say. And to all my Brits out there, it's a joke. I'm sorry.
No, it's not a joke. You guys have
don't get so mad about it, bruv. All right, drink your tea from the Boston Harbor. We'll talk later about it. Right. All right. Next question. This one's fun because two personalities that I love. Would you rather sip? And this is like their branded stuff. Would you rather sip gin with Ryan Reynolds or tequila with Dwayne The Rock Johnson? Whoever wants to go first can go first.
I'd probably go with Ryan Reynolds.
Because you prefer white over
no.
Because or the gin. Like what's the
It would be Ryan Reynolds because I feel like I'd have a good time. He'd probably make me laugh. Like if I was with Dwayne The Rock Johnson, I'd probably just be like, what's up, dude? I don't know. Like I've seen like Ryan Reynolds is always funny. I don't know about Dwayne. I would rather risk it and have him make fun of me, and I'd be okay with him making fun of me than like Dwayne being like, "You're an idiot and you're chubby."
Oh gosh,
damn.
So when is The Rock? First off,
let me throw it out there. I would say The Rock. I want to drink tequila with The Rock. The reason is exactly what Andrew said. Because I know if I go drinking with Ryan Reynolds, it's going to be fun. You know what I mean? But I kind of want to see The Rock a little tipsy and not so PC. You know what I'm saying? I want to see The Rock going, we're taking shots of steroids and then we're going to take a shot of tequila. You know what I'm saying? I want to see The Rock just like hit the roid and then take a shot of tequila Yeah, I want to see if The Rock is who The Rock truly is. Yeah,
A great opportunity.
100%. He's like, oh, so you saw my darkest secrets. Snap. You know what I mean? Yeah, for sure. I would say The Rock because I want to know, dude. He has to.
This is interesting
I think he'd
because
be a terrible person though.
the reasons you guys have given,
Mhm.
there's no like,
Nothing.
there's no showcase of things of that happening.
The
The
thing is,
Rock
don't
has
think there
never
needs to
looked
be.
like a bad, angry dude ever outside of his like WWE
sure.
days, which is obviously an act. But like in his days now, he looks like he's just a fun guy all the time.
I just know he'd look at me and say I'm chubby.
And then on the flip side of things, like
Yeah.
I feel like Ryan Reynolds might have a lot more demons in his closet than The Rock does.
Nah, I still think that The Rock, low key, I think he like there's no way The Rock is The Rock all the time. You know what I'm saying? There's no way, dude. There's no way.
I mean, Ryan Reynolds is same argument for both. They could both be different people.
Yeah, but I could kind of see Ryan Reynolds being like a dick. You know, sorry, but like I could see him going that route. So it's like, oh, I can see it. You know what I mean? It's Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, but that's his personality. It's not like
it's his
he's actually
personality
doing it to you. It's just
You
who
know
he
what I mean?
is.
But The Rock is like, there's no way he's like. I just feel like I want to see maybe I
don't think he'll kill you either. To like the far extreme of like thinking The Rock's gonna become some insane person is like there's no precedence behind it.
Yeah.
But then the flip side, the essence
that's what
of
the
him.
Hawaiian couple said about Ezra.
Oh, that's true too.
We don't mention that name here on the podcast, right? We just call him the Flash.
We're not trying to get strikes, brother.
Or we call him the actor on his way out. Which is crazy that he's not even like part of the press run or anything. But
yeah, that is kind of weird.
Gentlemen, I did have one more. I don't know if we have time for it or not, and it's a little bit more of a deeper question, so I don't think I want to get into it, to be honest with you. But it's been a good podcast, gentlemen. Any additional send-offs before we go? Any quick comments that will not turn into debates or anything like that?
Nah, besides what we talked about, that was pretty much. I wanted to see where you guys were coming from with the whole James Gunn, knowledge drop. See where you guys stood on that. I know there's a couple things we didn't get to talk about, like the Netflix changing passwords, or sharing passwords. I mean, I've really disappointed in Netflix on it, but yeah, either way. But that's pretty much all I had to talk about. I got a lot of my stuff answered, so I'm good.
Yeah, the only thing I could think of is if you go back and you watch James Gunn's announcement, if you just envision him being drunk, it makes that video way better. Because there's times where
I'm about to watch it.
Are you maybe
there,
yeah,
right.
It probably has to do with his hair more than anything. But yeah, no closing remarks for me. Good podcast, gentlemen. Great show. Great camaraderie. Great questions at the end. If I do see some myself that I
did want to jump
curated.
in.
Oh, go ahead.
The old lady who looks like she went 5 rounds of Tyson. Her name is Susan Boyle. Hideous. All of it. Definitely got all the talent and none of the cosmetics. I'm not trying to say she's not pretty, but she is not pretty. You know what I'm saying? Like, sorry,
probably she's ugly, but she's ugly.
Yeah, definitely have a better personality. I think better really work on your personality when you look like her. But
did she win?
Yes. What's his face? Actually, no, she didn't win, but Simon signed her. She's like famous now. So check her out
in life.
Yeah, kind of. She's kind of ugly, but kind of has a great voice.
I don't think I'm going to check her out first off.
Check her out. I'm putting her in Discord.
I appreciate the plug for Susan Boyle. I'm sure she really needed that.
Yeah.
That's been the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great show. Andrew, thanks for being on. I'm sure we'll probably have you on again more frequently. It was great. I loved it. Sure, Steven loved it as well. Signing off, y'all. We've been the Slightly Unqualified podcast. I think we were pretty unqualified today, generally speaking, especially about Susan Boyle. So excuse the language there. But adios, y'all. Have a great rest of your day, great rest of your night, great rest of your evening. Follow, subscribe, like everywhere you can hear a podcast. That's what we're on.
Like it.
Find us there. Adios.